Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Brian.
How's it going?
Good.
Awesome. Do you remember that time when we first met?
Yeah.
It was so great.
I saw you from across the room and you were so cute.
And then I came and sat across from you at the table.
I was so happy. I was hoping you would.
But there were all those friends there. That was exciting.
Food was yummy.
Oh, the food was delicious. I couldn't believe how you ate those wings.
Wings? What? When we actually first met was at church. I had just moved to Reno and we got to church and I saw him and he was wearing this crinkly black sweater thing and I thought he was just so cute. And after church there was a luncheon and I had seen this girl talking to him, but they were like flirty, so I knew she wasn't competition, but I knew they were friends. So I went and I sat by her and had my fingers crossed that he would come and sit and join that same group, and I was right. I was just Twitter-pated immediately.
I know that she always tells that story about church. There was definitely the only time I remember having met her was at Buffalo Wild Wings, and she was eating blazing hot wings and she wasn't missing a beat. She just kept going and going and going for it. And then I asked her, I was like, wow, so do you really like spicy food? And she said, oh, yeah, but this doesn't even taste good. I'm not even affected by the spice. That's how I knew that I had to get to know her better.
It was kind of funny because he was talking to me on Facebook and he said that he didn't really want to date anybody and that he didn't really want to go on dates and that he was tired of dating. And then like 2 seconds later, asked me on a date. He asked me to go walk around downtown Reno with him, and we were putting up flyers for this concert, and I don't know what to say about it. So we went walking all through downtown Reno, putting up the posters, and we were just laughing at all the silly graffiti and crazy random things happening on 4th Street in downtown Reno. And the whole time, I was really hoping he would hold my hand, but it's good he didn't, because I probably would have run away and been scared.
So our first date, we had been talking on Facebook for a while, and she actually asked me if I wouldn't mind taking her to her friend's birthday party in San Francisco, which was a 4-hour drive from Reno, which is a long time. We had a lot of fun. We listened to Never Shout Never down there and back, met up with some of her friends in San Francisco. She even did a sly attempt to hold my hand. Maybe I'll talk about that later. But yeah, no, it was lots of fun.
Brian was my first kiss, and he's the only boy I've kissed, and the only boy I've even gone on a second date with. And I was really nervous because obviously I hadn't ever kissed anyone, and I figured I would only ever kiss my husband. So I was kind of avoiding it, but I was waiting for it too. I really wanted him to kiss me, but he just never did. At all the doorstep scenes that you always hear about, nothing happened. So finally, one night we were watching a movie and I decided to stop listening to all of my real life friends and give a fairy tale a try. So I just kind of drifted off to sleep during the movie and I waited, just like Sleeping Beauty, and he kissed me! And then woke up.
If you're a guy, you know how difficult it is to determine the appropriate time to give a first kiss. Kelly was a really tough one. We would go to the doorstop and she would avoid me, hugging and jamming her head into my neck so that there was no possible way for me to kiss her. And I just kept wanting to, and I had to practically wait till she was unconscious before I could finally kiss her. And, I did.
I really hate surprises. And so Brian and I, even though we had been talking about getting married, I was so in love with him, I wanted to marry him, but if he had surprised me and just suddenly got down on one knee, especially in public, I would have said no. I would not have accepted that because I would have gotten scared. Tuesday, he called me up and invited me over. I went over to his house, and so I figured it wouldn't. And then we went into his room, and he sat me down in front of his computer. He told me that he had a new YouTube video, and it was so cute, but the whole time I was so nervous I just couldn't even watch it. To this day I can't even look at the video when he shows it to other people because they're just full of butterflies. And then I turned around and there he was on one knee with the ring, and I was just still so nervous that I covered my face and I couldn't even say anything. It was probably a whole minute. I made him just sit there and wait.
As if the first kiss wasn't bad enough, the proposal is another beast entirely. It's not just, ooh, is she gonna say yes or is she gonna say no? No, that's never your concern, because if you've gotten to the point where you're considering proposing, you already know that she's going to say yes. Otherwise, don't do it. No, the problem with proposing is, what if I do it wrong? Then she'll say no, and I have to do all this stuff again, and that's not okay. So, anyway, I did a YouTube video for her. Just showed her the video in my house, and I was kneeling behind her in the computer chair, and she spun around, and I was there, and she saw the ring and immediately stuck her hand out in the typical, like, Marilyn Monroe, Audrey Hepburn fashion. She squealed yes, put the ring on, and then ran out of the room because I gave her my mother's ring and she had to go cry to my mom about it.
Just over a year and a half.
About 2 years, I think. Well, after all that time,
However long it was.
we're still perfect.
You're
You're perfect.
You are perfect.
Yeah, we're vain. Incredibly. And slightly cynical. There was just a cutscene because we decided to giggle a lot. But we do like to live happily ever after. Why not? And we don't know how to close this. So, this is what you're getting.
Hey.